Bobi Wine, the people's president, is present in the British Parliament. He was invited in Britain to have some engagements. I keep on telling people that Bobi Wine is a generation leader who's favored, who has the light of God upon him, and it's incumbent upon him to use that light in a rightful manner. Bobi Wine was, I think this is the second time to be invited in the British Parliament, and in a tweet he came out to say, and I quote, "Fruitful engagements as British Parliament yesterday, one step at a time." Okay. And in another tweet, he also came out to say, "Fruitful meetings on the first day of our official trip to London, using every opportunity to advance the cause of freedom and democracy." That is the tweet which was tweeted by Bobi Wine, saying that he must use each and every opportunity to fight for democracy. Now, he came out to even tag the pictures with different stakeholders, with different leaders in London. In fact, here are the pictures. That is Bobi Wine. Very many people have come out to accuse him that Bobi Wine moves a lot, not knowing that every movement has bared some fruits. Even when General MUSEVENI was fighting in the bush, some of the time he was not in the bush, he was across the country, galvanizing support. Part of the arms were gotten from Libya. In his book, according to his book, Sowing the Mustard Seed, when he went to Libya, Gaddafi gave them ammunition. His family was in Sweden. So, Uganda is not an island. Leadership cannot be changed by one front. In fact, the international community plays a big role in changing governments. Okay? So by Bobi Wine moving, because Britain is not a simple country, it's one of the biggest countries. As according to the GDP, I think it is the 5th, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the biggest democracies. They have a lot of influence in the politics. Okay? So visiting such a country to make links, to make friends, it can help to advance the struggle. So in this episode, I've come to talk about Bobi Wine's visit to London, what it means for our politics, and most importantly, the study materials we can learn from the politics of our nation. But before I do this, I want to let you know that if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. And if you're watching this video from a different platform, please head on to YouTube, type in Sula Mawagali. There's a lot of content of this nature. If geopolitics and economics is what you want, this will be definitely the right channel for you to subscribe to. So Bobi Wine is the generational leader. Every generation must have a cause. In the 19th century, we were in the 18th century, we were in the Stone Age according to the history. In the beginning of the 19th century, we are under colonialism. In the 20th century, we had to fight for independence. Okay? After independence, we had to fight for democracy and institutionalization. And here we are, we must fight a dictatorship. So every generation has a cause, has something they must solve. In fact, the failure of a generation is failing to understand their cause so that they can solve it. Okay? Even in our religious understanding, every generation had a prophet who had to solve a particular issue. Okay? Lot called people for very many years. They were killed by floods. Okay? No. Lot called people to go against homosexuality. Okay? etc. Moses called people to stop witchcraft. That's why God sent him with an element of witchcraft. Okay? So every generation has a cause to do. This is the generation that must fight the dictatorship of General Kaguta Museveni. And the generation leader is none other than Bobi Wine. Visiting the UK, it is a plus to our struggle. Because visiting the UK, you rub shoulders with the people who are the biggest architect of democracy. Because Britain and America are among the biggest democracies. In fact, many of the African countries practice the Westminster democracy or American democracy because they have had a lot of influence in Africa. So visiting such a country should not be taken lightly. It is a plus in the advancement of fighting for democracy and stopping human rights abuses here in Uganda. Even the sanctions which have been preferred to the leaders who serve this dictatorship, the countries who have been on the forefront of putting them into action are Britain and America, because at least they have influence in the global economy. They have the biggest global reach. Okay? So Bobi Wine's visit in London, it is a fruitful engagement. Of course, that's my opinion. Do me a comments by commenting about this. Thank you very much for listening in. If this is the first time on this YouTube channel, employee would subscribe, like, and comment so that I can be motivated to do more of such videos. I'll see you on another one. Peace.
Enkyukakyuka mu byenfuna, enkyukakyuka mu birowoozo. Bassebo ne bannyabukana akatwe kajjudde ebirowoozo by'osobola okutwala ku ttebo nga byankizo ne tufuna kye tuyigamu. Engeri gye tufiiriddwa sijja kwogera nnyo, enkya kuziika muganda waffe tusuubira. Mwebale nnyo bambi kubeera wano ne mukugobezaako maama ne mumugumya. Nange ensawo y'okuziika nabadde nagitaddemu dde ekintu nsookedde wa maama, naye era nja kwongera n'enkya tugende tuwerekere muganda waffe. Neeyanza nnyo neeyanzeega okumpa guno mukisa okwogerako nammwe.